Okay, this is the Community Preservation Committee's meeting, and it's both a regular meeting and an annual meeting. And I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, I'll do a roll call. Planning Board,
David Jackley, here. Just trying to read.
Recreation, Housing Authority,
Here, Joe Perry.
Conservation Commission,
Kurt Turner here.
Board of Selectmen,
Cliff Pierce here.
Open Space,
Sonia Vincola, here.
Historic District, Frank Todd. We have no members at large. Okay, has everybody read the, yeah, except the minutes?
I've read them. I have no problem with them. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I don't think I was at that meeting.
You weren't. You can still vote.
Ken?
No,
Okay,
You want to abstain or?
he can't vote if he wasn't
Okay.
at
No, I
there.
wasn't at the meeting, so I'm just,
All in
I'll,
favor?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think you did a great job, Kurt.
Always does. Thank you.
Okay,
Well, before we go, if everyone's comfortable with it, no problems. Paul almost caught something.
excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I read every word,
He did.
couldn't find a thing.
okay, that's the minutes, and legal ads were posted both in
No, only in the town common.
the town common. Weren't they duly posted here in the town hall?
Yes,
Okay,
as always.
okay. Business meeting, you got any bills to sign? Nothing from the town common?
It wasn't ready yet. I'll have to call you to come visit me again.
Okay. Then, welcome to our guests.
Who is?
I'm Cindy Dunn. I'm the acting executive director of the Raleigh Housing Authority.
Cindy Dunn.
Dunn. Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
E
Cindy.
went in. No E.
No double N?
Double N.
Yes.
Double N, okay. You used to own the farm up on Hillside?
I did not.
Okay. Okay, we'll go right to our first meeting tonight. It's of the plantation. And Joe, you handed out different things.
Yes, from the Department of Housing and Community Development. I went on the website, and many housing authorities have inquired about the potential for using Community Preservation Act funding for work on existing public housing units. And if you look at the second page under preservation activities, which they say is appropriate for CPA funding, it includes building envelope, site work to preserve the structural integrity of the housing, roof, siding, and window replacements. And that's basically what we're seeking money for. Cindy?
Yes, thank you very much. I actually want to thank you because it looks like you have funded a couple of programs from the Housing Authority, one in 2007 and one in 2012, which were actually kitchen projects. So last year when I applied for funds, I applied for kitchens because I thought that was the natural extension. However, I also did some research, and it turns out that CPA funds now are to be used for preservation of the existing portfolio, not for rehabilitation. Or as the state person at the Community Preservation Coalition said, that these funds are not to be used necessarily for the betterment of the tenants' lives, but to make sure that the buildings that they live in are preserved. And they need a lot of work. Plantation needs a lot of work. It was built in 1968. You know, my predecessor did an excellent job on using little bits of money and making repairs where she could, replacing a few windows at a time. But we have 212 windows that are original windows from 1968 that really need to be replaced. Also, the roofs are very aged, and they also need to be replaced. Now, we do get funding. We do get funding from the state each year. We get about $70,000. But we also need boilers down at Depot Way. We've had one fail that we were able to replace with our some of the excess money we get from rents. But the DHCD funds we're getting this year are going to be dedicated to replacing the boilers down there. So we're sort of in this situation where the properties need a lot of work. We can leverage some of this money with state funds, but we really could use some CPA funds to preserve those buildings. It's 42 elderly units. And I do have a breakdown budget, if anybody needs that, of what we're asking.
We do.
You do? Yeah. It's actually on the second page of my letter. Would you like that?
Yes, thank you.
I may be short. I think I got 5. 4. Here, I've got one more. I've actually got 2 more.
You want me to, I can have 2 more copies if you want. Some people,
Do I have enough?
I can go run a few copies.
Just 2, I think.
Thank you, Kathy.
This is a project that if we do get the funding, if you do see fit to approve it, that we would be looking at doing when the weather's nicer next year. It would have to go out to bid. Does anybody else need a copy? Does anybody have it?
Thank you.
These all new roofs you're looking for?
We would be getting new roofs.
For 8 units?
8
7.
buildings. There's 7 residential buildings, and then there's the office building. If we, if it looks like we're going to be short funding, we would scrap the community building and move that into a subsequent year. We would make the priority to do the residential buildings.
You have to bid with prevailing
We
wage?
do, yes, we do, yeah.
Is the state contributing some money towards these projects?
The state will contribute some sustainability funds. We'll have to apply for it, and depending upon how much we can get here, we would be applying to their fund, actually an energy conservation fund. Because one of the benefits also of replacing these windows would be that we would save money on electricity, because it'd be more efficient. So they do have a program that if we're approved, we'll be able to tap some funds into that.
Well, it seems under the state guidelines that there's no problem with the roofs. But in terms of windows, we're required to distinguish between, window replacements to assure the water tightness of the housing, which we can pay for, and the installation of more energy efficient windows, if not necessary to assure the water tightness of the housing, which we can't pay for. So if the only reason we're replacing these is to have more energy efficient windows.
Well, you're not. That's the thing. You're not. You're really looking at the
I'm asking,
former.
yeah.
Right. We're looking at preserving the building, and that these windows are very old. They're the old pull ones. Some of them have started to leak, I imagine, when some do, that they're all, they're from 1968. But once we do that, the state has an energy efficient, when we replace them, we are going to replace them with more energy efficient windows than they had in 1968. So that will give us the ability to apply for that program, but it's not why we're generally seeking the
So
funds.
the windows are starting to leak.
Yes, yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, prior to CPC, how would you fund this?
Well, that's why we haven't.
Oh.
19, yeah, the window, the windows are from 1968. Occasionally, when the rent, we do have rents. The Raleigh Housing Authority does operate in the black, which means that the money we bring in from rents does exceed our expenses, which is good, but not by a great margin. This year, we're going to spend $8,000 on a small generator. Last year, we ended up keeping our community room just at 70 degrees during the power outage by actually borrowing a gas-powered generator and using a pellet stove that goes in the window. So we really had to do this makeshift ability to keep one room warm during that outage. So this year we are getting a propane tank and we are getting a small generator, so we're spending that money. We also spend money on turnover, unit turnover. We replace the carpets, we redo the floors, we repaint them. So we don't have a lot of excess funds to do these projects, which is why the windows are 50 years old.
Are you talking the plantation, or are you talking depot?
This money is for plantation. Yeah.
Questions? David? No question?
Well, I'd rather see it come from someplace else, and have them use money from us to build more affordable units, which would make sense, but I don't know where else they're gonna get the money, that's the problem.
Kurt? You got any questions?
I guess, do we have enough money?
Yeah, that's not an issue. I outlined it on the spreadsheet.
How much do we have left over after the plantation project and the first document?
Well, the first document right now isn't covered on this sheet because we weren't sure if Susan's going to be able to be here tonight. So basically it would be, the available balance would be $207,162.25.
Oh, okay.
227,162.
Right, but it.
Giving us a nickel back.
$20,000 for the
Right.
preservation, what's that?
Okay. Any more questions? Kurt?
I'll just say I agree with the sentiment that it would be nice to use this money for additional affordable housing, but it's also important to keep the housing that we have. So,
Joyce, do you have?
You're looking for a place to go.
right.
Not yet,
Not yet, not yet.
come on.
Okay.
Well, and that mean we're also a long way off of funding any. We don't have a balance really to fund any realistic housing projects. I mean, we could be a contributor to somebody else's project, but
Yeah.
We used to have lots of money. Then Dave Peterson came.
you know this is being recorded.
Well, I sent out an email today that I think probably a lot of you already got or saw that we've just gotten, today we got the notice that how much money we're getting from the state. And
Right.
then it's the largest amount we've had in the last, it's more than the last 2 years, fiscal year 2019. I forget what the amount was, but
It's $733,048
well, that includes the town's contribution.
counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the town contribution is typically, what, 300, 350?
It
So,
was over 400.
426.
so this is nearly 100%.
So those today's noticed figures aren't included in this spreadsheet, right?
I didn't work today.
No, that's fine. I know, I got your email bounced, my email to you bounced. Had me worried about tonight.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Well, along the same line, how, we have a couple of long-term debts that we're slowly paying off. I think the Brad Street is the oldest of them. How soon do we pay that off?
27.
2027?
If you flip the sheet, it's at the bottom on the article side.
And the Girl Scout camp is what, 22?
2022, yep.
Yeah. So,
Oh, so we pay off the Girl Scout camp before the Brad Street. Interesting.
Why is that?
more money. A lot more money. Okay. I'll take a motion to accept the Housing Authority.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
You win.
Thank you so much. We won't be back soon, okay? Really, this is gonna help the Housing Authority a tremendous amount, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Susan, you're front row and center.
Thank you. I'm sorry for being late. My husband said, "Do you have any meeting at 5:30?" I said, "Yeah." What time is it? He said, 5:30.
Live close, to walk or drive?
Yeah, but then I
What's
didn't know what
that?
the meeting was.
Open the annual meeting.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. I have a signal. We've got to open the annual meeting, so I'll take a motion to open the annual meeting.
Make a motion to open the annual meeting.
Second.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
You want-
Need to take a roll call, I think.
Roll call. Planning Board,
David Jake was here.
Recreation,
Kurt Annan here.
Housing Authority,
Joe Perry here.
Concom,
Kurt Turner here?
Board of Selectmen.
Actually, I have to leave in 3 minutes, so I'll probably not, I'll pass. I'll abstain.
Okay, Open
Since I can't
Space,
close it.
Sonia Vincola here.
Historic District, Frank Todd. I'm trying to rush it.
No, you're doing great.
Okay, the annual meeting, do we have anything to discuss?
So it's your call for projects.
We make a call for projects. Susan?
So I think I fall under that category.
Okay.
The reason I wasn't on the agenda, I believe, is I was waiting for the estimates to come back from the preservation company. And I didn't know if ahead of time, whether I'd have the information in hand, but I do. So I came many years ago, and I mean many, 10 or 15 years ago, to start this project. And at that point, you said, well, which books would you be interested in preserving? And I said, the ones that are held together with masking tape. And I was not lying, that the books were just in deplorable condition. And so you generously did allow me, I think, 2 $10,000 grants. And this is what you got, although there's plenty of money,
Is how many of them?
maybe 20.
Okay.
This is from 1844 to 1909, birth certificates.
Wow.
And so what they went, and they took the book apart and they deossified it and stabilized the paper. And then once it's all stabilized, then they put it in these Mylar sleeves.
Look at
And-
that cursive.
It is the writing is fabulous. You're absolutely right.
They don't do that anymore.
But we're very proud of what we were able to accomplish with that original 2 grants. And so just now, I have finally spent out the last of those original 2 grants. So he has money, not money, but he has the books there at his plant that they're now deossifying and stabilizing. And so now there's another section. And these are not the ones that are held together with masking tape. And the hard part is, these have already been preserved. The kicker is, they were preserved in 1920. So they're 100 years old. The preservation is 100
They
years
did a
old
good
now.
job.
They did do a good job, but the technique is different now, and it will start to, they didn't stabilize the acid, they weren't just stabilizing the paper, and somehow they put it on silk. But the silk will deteriorate too, but it was the best they had in 1920. But I was amazed when he said, well, it's about 1920, like, because it looks like the new technology to me. But it doesn't, as I say, stabilize the acid in the paper. So the paper is still deteriorating by the acid, and the ink is really what I should say. So I'm sorry. Listen to my back. And so he submitted a new bid, which is 2 different steps, just like we did the last time, basically for $20,000. They're both $9,000 change bids for one set of books and for the other set of books.
So
I can
that's
read.
similar to the previous.
Yeah. However, I don't think the next set would be in Mylar because they're not 17th century paper. You know what I'm saying? They're not the
Oh, yeah.
oldest
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
He's very interesting. He said to me that in New England we should be very grateful for our documents because we're using real paper, real wood paper. And they said the documents in Hawaii just disintegrate because they use a whole different processing.
Did they
Stand
scan,
up to time. That's interesting. We think paper is paper.
did they scan these at the same time?
They did not because we had them scanned years ago on
Okay.
microfilm.
Okay.
And he talked about scanning. He offered to scan. Not forget, Karen. But actually, he said we could scan here at Town Hall the same process. We've actually not scanned these, but did you pick up that book? The downside to this project is you take one book, every page now becomes 3 pages, 2 sides of Mylar and the page is saved, and then they put it in this big ledger. They're like hard to pick up. I mean, really, they're heavy. Everyone should try giving that a little lug. And I don't think it does the book any help to keep pulling it out over the bottom of the safe because there's a little threshold at the bottom of the safe, and so you're just pulling it over that, and you're just going to break out the bottom of the book. So we've already taken these books apart once and put them through the Xerox machine, and 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 times out of 100, we look through this little 3-ring binder and get the answer that we're looking for because these are just too big and heavy to maneuver on a daily basis. We've still saved the documents, which was our purpose, but we made them too big to handle. So we've already taken these apart and scanned them, and he said that's exactly what we could do in the next step. We can scan them. We don't have to pay them to scan them because in the 20 years, maybe we didn't have that ability 20 years ago with our own equipment here at Town Hall, but we did have it on microfilm already. Then we had to have a Town Hall-wide search to see if we had a microfilm reader, but it turns out we do.
That's going to be my question.
Exactly. No, I was like, well, that's good, but do we have a reader?
And there's probably a microfilm reader to digital,
To digital. Tell me what that means.
so that you can put it in the computer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they can
that might be.
convert it.
But as I understand, microfilm is still the state of the art.
Perfect.
That's still
Okay.
what they suggest. Everything else, they're not sure the equipment is going to still be around to read those things.
But
They say
in,
you're not going to be able to
but
read
in
your
computer,
wedding VHS tapes.
I may be late.
So,
Book 2, you have Selectmen's records from 1828 to 1864, and I want it on
Is
the
that when you
record
served?
that I was not on the board.
yeah, I want it on record that I wasn't involved in any of these. Yeah. But it is, and then the question is it worth saving?
Of course it
Let's
is.
not
Of course it
say-
is.
Exactly.
There's no question
Exactly.
about it,
Someone
yeah.
said that the last time I stood here. So, well,
It's a
really worth
moment
saving.
in time.
Yes.
And it, it may not be particularly interesting to you right now, but 100 more years from now, it's going to be key to something.
Yep.
And so I'm very proud of the documents that we've been able to stabilize. And so we'd like to continue that. And so he did another inventory of what was left. And this, of course, in the 10 or 15 years, the price has gone up since the last time I was here. But this is his new estimate. And he said this estimate lasts until December of 2019.
oh, better than my estimates.
I notice it says tooling to be performed with 23 karat
I
gold
have 8 in my office,
foil.
and the rest are in the safe. With the safe
In
in
the
Sean's
binder,
office.
I guess. Binding.
What are rebellion records?
Well, see, I'd have to open them, and I think, I don't know off the top of my head, Bob Mary could have told us that.
Where do you see that?
I'd have to pull them and
It's just
open them.
on the page 2, it says in addition to those volumes listed, you have approximately 80 volumes.
Okay,
Yeah.
One of them is rebellion records. So,
the Civil War stuff.
I think it's Civil War.
You think? Well,
another
I think
name-
rebellion
Another
could
name
well
for
be
it,
the
yeah.
Revolutionary War, yeah.
Yeah. Could have
Depends
been.
what your point of view is.
Yeah.
And so the documents he sent about what they do is just fantastic. I've been to this, it's not a factory, but this shop, and watched what they've done. And he said they can actually take it off the stilk now, and he said they like dip it in a solution. I'm like, don't even tell me that. But it's just unbelievable what they do. It's a company out of Vermont. So I would like to continue. I would like kind of that to be my legacy when I leave this office, is to know that these antique records that we're so proud of, we're very proud that Raleigh still has their records, that we've done everything in our power to keep them safe and stabilized, and that they're not going to deteriorate anymore. And he said when he looked through the records, he could see deterioration from the last time he had looked, which may be 10, 12 years ago. And he said, see this? He said, that wasn't showing the last time. And it's the ink. The ink is acidic. And so
Yeah.
the ink itself eats
Yep.
the paper.
You should do this every year.
What does
Yes.
that mean? Ask for $10,000 every year?
Yeah, why not?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, it could. It's just, it's a time thing.
We have
sort of-
people that come in here and ask every
Yeah,
year
I'm sure that's true.
without mentioning names.
But it's a time thing, and it needs time to sort out which we want to do next. And we got, as I said, he just took the last bunch with him. It takes about 14 weeks for him to get he's not a one-man operation, I don't mean that, but he'll get them back to us. And I now have a professor from Georgia that wants to do some research, so I will now call Browns River Co-File, and they'll look the information up and send me the information. I mean, they know these are working documents that we need, and they cooperate to that extent that they'll look them up. I just tell them what I need. I can't say research it and call me, you know. But I say on page 14 of whatever, can you know, send me that town meeting report, and they'll do it.
I've got old stuff that you'd be very interested in.
But have you ever considered having them all stabilized? Now they're advertising, you know.
Well, I mean, this goes back into early Rowley,
Yep.
laying out the original lots and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. And I keep finding stuff that's, you know, nobody ever threw anything away.
Exactly.
So.
Well, you know, in hindsight, maybe
Don't
it's a good
say,
thing.
don't say
We didn't throw
nobody,
anything
say
away.
Frank. Isn't it Frank that doesn't throw things away?
I know, I try not to.
so
I get blamed for the same thing.
you're looking to get funding for both groups,
Yeah.
and the conservation would produce a product like this.
It would, I think when you told me that the next batch doesn't need the Mylar, it'll be more book-like.
Okay.
Doesn't need the Mylar, they need to be deacidified and stabilized, so that the ink doesn't continue
Yeah.
to eat the pages. But the pages are not so unstable that they need the
Okay.
Mylar backing. I believe that's,
Well, he has Mylar down for.
he does.
For, well, one thing.
6 volumes.
Yeah.
No, 7 volumes.
Yeah, you notice they're two different groups,
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
two different sets of problems.
Right.
And then this is the PDF grayscale scan and microfilm is to
Mostly
get it
it's-
on microfilm.
We'll have to talk to him about whether we want to have that done. We'll
Okay.
check our microfilm, see what we have. We did have microfilm of the vital records that we did just vital records
Right.
last time. These are other things, so perhaps they're not microfilm. That's a very valid point, because it was the Mormons that had microfilm done many years ago, but only the vital records. They're not looking for proprietor records or rebellion records. They're looking for vital records.
And has anybody accessed the microfilm, or
No. But we have it. You know. But as I said, he also